Ma'am, you need to step back. This restricted area isn't for people like you. Derek Morrison doesn't whisper it. He announces it loud enough for the entire private terminal to hear. His voice carries across the polished floor like a slap. He stands blocking the entrance to Hangar 7, arms crossed, looking down at Victoria Hayes like she's trespassing on sacred ground. Victoria holds a leather portfolio. Inside are documents worth $75 million. She's wearing a $400 navy blazer and $150 shoes. She's standing on property she's about to legally own in exactly 47 minutes. Derek has no idea who she is. In 12 minutes he'll find out, and it will end his career forever. The scorching August morning in Atlanta makes the tarmac shimmer like a mirage. Hartsfield-Jackson Airport bustles with its usual chaos. But here in the private aviation terminal, a different kind of storm is brewing. Victoria Hayes, 38, stands 5'6" with quiet confidence that radiates from her core. Her dark skin glows despite the humidity. Her hair is pulled back in a professional bun. No flashy jewelry, no designer handbag. Just understated elegance that speaks louder than logos. She's built an aerospace logistics empire from nothing. Hayes, Global Logistics, employs 4,000 people across 6 countries. Her net worth hits $180 million. She owns 3 private jets. She's a licensed pilot who learned to fly before she could afford to eat at fancy restaurants. But standing here facing Derek Morrison's contempt, she's that same little girl from East Atlanta who used to watch planes through chain-link fences. Derek Morrison towers at 6'2". 15 years managing this hangar. Salt and pepper hair. Pressed white shirt. Company badge hanging like a medal. He's built his identity around being the gatekeeper, the authority, the man who decides who belongs and who doesn't. His eyes scan Victoria with practiced dismissal. Black woman, simple clothes, no entourage, obviously lost, obviously in the wrong place. Miss Derek says, his tone dripping condescension. This is a restricted area, authorized personnel only. The main terminal is that way. He points toward the commercial gates like he's directing traffic. Victoria doesn't move. Her voice stays level. Calm. I have business here. Derek's laugh is sharp and humorless. Business? What kind of business could you possibly have in private aviation? Behind Victoria, the hangar door reflects her silhouette. Inside that building sits $20 million worth of aircraft maintenance equipment. Outside, 3 corporate jets await service. The whole operation generates $50 million in annual revenue. In 45 minutes, Victoria will own all of it. I'm here for a scheduled appointment, Victoria says. She opens her portfolio, revealing official documents with letterhead and seals. Derek doesn't look at them. His eyes stay fixed on her face. Listen, lady, I don't know what game you're playing, but this isn't the place for it. Private aviation serves a specific clientele. People who belong here don't need to explain themselves. The implication hangs in the air like jet fuel fumes. From across the terminal, Miguel Rodriguez looks up from his maintenance checklist. 32 years old, Hispanic, 15 years of aircraft experience. He's seen Derek do this before. The dismissals, the assumptions, the quiet cruelty disguised as policy. Miguel pulls out his phone, not to call security, to record. Sarah Kim sits in the corner, laptop open, editing her latest aviation blog post. 28 years old, Korean-American, 50,000 TikTok followers. She covers industry news, airport reviews, aviation trends. Her content reaches young professionals who love to travel. When Derek's voice rises, Sarah looks up. Journalist instincts kick in. She opens TikTok, hits the live button. Hey everyone, Sarah here at Atlanta Airport, she whispers to her phone. Something's happening in the private terminal. This manager just blocked a black businesswoman from entering a hangar. This is happening right now. 3 viewers become 30, then 300. Victoria maintains her composure. Mr. Morrison, I suggest you check your schedule. You have an appointment at 11 o'clock with the new hangar owner. Derek's eyebrows furrow. He pulls out his tablet scrolls through the calendar. His finger stops on one entry. 11 a.m. V. Hayes Acquisition Closing. His eyes flick back to Victoria. V. Hayes is supposed to be some big-shot investor from out of state. Corporate executive, private jet owner. He laughs again. That's definitely not you. How do you know? Victoria asks quietly. Because I know what money looks like, Derek says. And you're not it. Robert Tucker emerges from the hangar office. 31 years old, Derek's assistant manager. Pale complexion, nervous energy, always seeking approval from his boss. He approaches with a clipboard and forced smile. Everything okay out here, Derek? Derek doesn't take his eyes off Victoria. Just clearing up some confusion. This woman seems to think she has business here. Robert glances at Victoria, then at Derek. He's learned to follow his boss's lead. Question. Derek's judgment means career suicide. Maybe she's looking for someone Robert suggests weakly. I'm not looking for anyone, Victoria says. I'm here for my appointment with Mr. Morrison. Derek crosses his arms tighter. Look, I don't know what scam you're trying to pull, but it won't work here. This is a professional operation. We serve Fortune 500 companies, celebrities, government officials, people with credentials. Sarah's live stream viewer count climbs. 500, 800. Comments flood the screen. This is discrimination. Someone identify this manager. She looks professional to me. Call him out, girl. Sarah reads the comments, her voice getting stronger. Chad is saying this looks like racial profiling. The manager hasn't even looked at her documents. Victoria opens her portfolio wider. These are legal documents confirming today's acquisition. Would you like to review them? Derek waves dismissively. I don't need to review anything. I know who I'm expecting, and it's not you. The real V. Hayes will arrive soon. Until then, you need to leave. Jennifer Walsh appears from behind a fuel truck. 29 Hispanic ground crew supervisor. She's witnessed Derek's behavior for 3 years. The snide comments, the different standards for different people, the climate of fear he's created. She approaches slowly, recognizing the tension. Boss Jennifer says carefully, maybe we should just check her ID. Derek's face flushes red. I don't need to check anything. Look at her, Jennifer. Does she look like someone who owns aircraft? The question hits like a physical blow. Not just to Victoria, but to everyone within earshot. Miguel stops pretending to work. Sarah's live stream viewer count hits 1,000. Victoria's voice remains steady, measured. What exactly should someone who owns aircraft look like Mr. Morrison? Derek realizes he's stepped too far, but pride won't let him retreat. You know what I mean? No, Victoria says. I don't. Please explain. The silence stretches. Derek's mouth opens and closes. Around them, the normal airport sounds continue. Engines revving, radio chatter, footsteps on concrete. But in this small circle, everything has stopped. Thomas Bradley walks up from the fuel depot. 35 Caucasian, loyal to Derek for 7 years. He's learned to mirror his boss's attitudes, learned that agreeing with Derek means job security. Problem here, boss, Thomas asks, positioning himself beside Derek. No problem, Derek says, regaining confidence with backup. Just someone who got lost. Victoria checks her watch. 42 minutes until closing. Derek's confusion deepens. Closing what? The acquisition, Victoria says simply. Maria Santos emerges from the administrative office. 26 Hispanic handles scheduling and client communications. She's been watching through the window, recognition dawning slowly. That face looks familiar. Those cheekbones. That calm confidence. Where has she seen this woman before? Maria pulls out her phone, opens Google, types Hayes Global Logistics CEO. Images load. Forbes magazine cover from last year. 40 under 40 business leaders. Aviation Industry Excellence Award winner. Victoria Hayes. Self-made billionaire. Former Forbes cover story, From East Atlanta to Executive Suite. Maria's hands tremble as she looks from her phone screen to the woman standing 30 feet away. It's her. The V. Hayes on Derek's calendar. The woman Derek just told doesn't belong here. Sarah's live stream hits 1,500 viewers. The comments are moving too fast to read Google her name. She's a CEO. This manager is about to get destroyed. Justice incoming. Derek pulls out his radio. Security. This is Morrison at Hangar 7. I need assistance with an unauthorized person refusing to leave restricted areas. Victoria tilts her head slightly. Mr. Morrison, you just made this situation exponentially worse. Is that a threat Derek demands? Victoria's smile is small, cold, and absolutely terrifying. Number. It's a promise. Officer James Rivera arrives within minutes. 40 years old, Hispanic, 20 years in airport security, professional demeanor, no-nonsense approach. He's seen every kind of airport drama imaginable. What's the situation, Rivera asks, looking between Derek and Victoria. Derek points accusingly. This woman refuses to leave a restricted area, claims to have business here but won't provide proper identification. Rivera turns to Victoria. Ma'am, may I see some ID, please? Victoria opens her portfolio calmly. She hands Rivera her driver's license and a business card. Rivera examines both carefully. His eyes widen as he reads the business card, Victoria Hayes, CEO Hayes Global Logistics. He looks at the license again, then at Victoria, then at Derek. Sir Rivera says to Derek, his voice carefully controlled. Do you know who this is? Derek smirks. Some woman trying to scam her way into restricted areas. Sarah's live stream viewer count explodes. 5,000. 10,000. Comments become a waterfall of anticipation. Victoria speaks quietly, her voice carrying absolute authority. Victoria Hayes, CEO of Hayes Global Logistics. And as of... She checks her watch again. 38 minutes from now, the legal owner of this entire hangar facility. The words hit Derek like a physical blow. His face drains of color. His tablet slips in his sweaty hands. That's impossible, he whispers. But even as he says it, the pieces click together. The scheduled closing. V. Hayes on his calendar. The documents Victoria keeps trying to show him. Miguel Rodriguez lowers his phone, video recorded. Jennifer Walsh covers her mouth in shock. Thomas Bradley takes a step back from Derek, suddenly wanting distance. Maria Santos approaches quickly. Mr. Morrison, she calls out. I think you need to see this. She holds up her phone, showing Google search results. Photos of Victoria at industry conferences, award ceremonies, congressional hearings on aviation safety. Derek stares at the screen, then at Victoria, then back at the screen. His career implodes in real time. Sarah's live stream hits 20,000 viewers. The hashtag Derek blocked starts trending locally. Victoria's voice cuts through the stunned silence. Mr. Morrison, I want you to understand something. I didn't buy this hangar to fire people. I bought it to run it properly, but your actions today have changed that calculation significantly. Derek's mouth moves, but no sound comes out. 15 years of authority of being the gatekeeper, of deciding who belongs and who doesn't, crumbles around him. Officer Rivera steps between them. Ma'am, I apologize for any inconvenience. Sir, he turns to Derek. I think you have some explaining to do. Victoria checks her watch one final time. 36 minutes until closing. I suggest we move this conversation inside. She walks toward the hangar entrance. Derek doesn't block her path this time. He can't. His legs feel like concrete. Behind them, Sarah's live stream reaches 25,000 viewers. The aviation industry's biggest embarrassment is going viral in real time. And Victoria Hayes, the little girl who once watched planes through chain-link fences, walks into her new kingdom with quiet dignity intact. The confrontation is over, but the consequences are just beginning. The air conditioning inside Hangar 7's administrative office provides blessed relief from Atlanta's crushing humidity. Victoria enters first, her heels clicking against polished concrete floors. Behind her, Derek stumbles like a man walking to his execution. The space reflects Derek's 15-year reign. His awards cover one wall. Photos of him with minor celebrities who've used the facility. A large desk positioned to dominate the room. Everything designed to intimidate visitors to remind them who holds power here. Today, that power shifts. Victoria grew up 8 miles from this hangar in a cramped apartment where planes roared overhead every 3 minutes. Her mother, Denise Hayes, cleaned office buildings before dawn, then worked retail until midnight. Her father disappeared when Victoria turned 6, leaving behind child support payments that never came. Denise worked 70-hour weeks to keep food on the table. Victoria learned early that survival meant excellence. No room for second place, no margin for error. While other kids played video games, Victoria studied. While they watched television, she read engineering textbooks borrowed from the library. The planes fascinated her most. Those massive machines defying gravity, carrying people to places she could only imagine. She'd climb onto their apartment building's roof watching aircraft approach the airport, wondering what kind of person got to fly in them. By age 12, she knew she'd work in aviation someday. By 16, she had MIT acceptance letters. By 25, she'd started Hayes Global Logistics from a rented garage with $3,000 in savings. Now she owns the hangar where she once pressed her face against fences dreaming. Derek Morrison's story is different. Born to middle-class comfort in suburban Atlanta. Father owned a small construction company. Mother taught elementary school. College paid for path-cleared, expectations managed. He joined the aviation industry because it felt important, powerful. He liked the respect that came with managing expensive equipment, wealthy clients, million-dollar aircraft. He liked being the gatekeeper. Over 15 years, Derek built his identity around exclusion. His job became defining who belonged and who didn't. The wealthy belonged. The connected belonged. People who looked like him belonged. Everyone else was a threat to the order he'd created. "This is impossible," Derek repeats, sinking into his chair. His hands shake as he pulls up the acquisition documents on his computer screen. V. Hayes was supposed to be what Victoria asks, taking the chair across from his desk. She doesn't wait for permission. Derek's eyes dart around the room, looking for escape, looking for explanation, looking for someone to blame. A man. From out of state. Corporate type. Victoria opens her portfolio, slides papers across Derek's desk. "I am a corporate type. Hayes Global Logistics, founded 15 years ago, Fortune 500 company for the past 8 years. We handle aerospace supply chain management for 70% of private aviation on the East Coast." Derek stares at the documents. Official letterhead. Legal seals. His signature already on preliminary agreements from 3 weeks ago. "I spoke with your assistant," Derek says weakly. "Someone named Foster. She said V. Hayes would arrive this morning for final closing." "Amanda Foster is my executive assistant," Victoria explains patiently. "She's been handling the paperwork. I prefer to see operations personally before finalizing acquisitions." The pieces click together in Derek's mind. Every phone call, every email, every document has been legitimate. He created the confusion himself, assuming V. Hayes meant a white male executive. His prejudice blinded him to reality. Outside, Sarah Kim's live stream has reached 50,000 viewers. Comments flow like a river. "This manager is finished. Google says she's worth $180 million. She owns 3 private jets." Derek about to learn today. Miguel Rodriguez enters quietly, maintenance tablet in hand. "Boss," he says to Derek, then catches himself. "I mean, Mr. Morrison. Sorry to interrupt." Victoria turns toward Miguel with genuine interest. "Please don't let me stop your work. I'm here to learn how this facility operates." Miguel glances nervously between Victoria and Derek. "Well, ma'am, we've got 3 aircraft scheduled for maintenance today. The Gulfstream needs new navigation systems. The Citation has hydraulic issues, and the King Air needs its annual inspection. What's your timeline on the Gulfstream?" Victoria asks. Miguel brightens, discussing something he knows well. 2 days for parts delivery, then 6 hours installation. Should be airworthy by Thursday morning. Derek watches this interaction with growing dread. Victoria asks detailed questions. She understands the technical aspects. She knows the industry terminology. This isn't some random person trying to scam her way into his facility. This is his new boss. Jennifer Walsh appears in the doorway. "Mr. Morrison." The fuel truck driver is asking about the BP contract renewal. Should I tell him to wait? Derek's mouth opens, but no words come. Every routine question now carries weight. Every decision requires considering Victoria's oversight. Victoria stands. "Would you mind showing me the fuel storage operations? I want to understand the full logistics chain." Jennifer looks to Derek for permission. Derek nods weakly. As they leave the office, Derek's radio crackles. "Morrison, this is Tower Control. We've got weather moving in from the west. 3 incoming aircraft requesting hangar space." Derek reaches for the radio, then stops. Should he still be making these decisions? Is he still in charge for how long? "Go ahead and assign them to bays 2, 4, and 6. Derek responds. "Standard protocols." But his voice lacks its usual authority. Everyone can hear the uncertainty. Robert Tucker returns from lunch, whistling, completely oblivious to the morning's drama. He stops when he sees Derek's ashen face. "Everything okay, boss?" Derek points toward the hangar floor where Victoria walks with Jennifer examining fuel safety equipment. "That woman, the one I told to leave. She's what?" "She's V. Hayes, the new owner." Robert's sandwich drops from his hand. "The woman you called security on Derek," nods miserably. "The woman you said didn't belong here." Derek nods again. "The woman you told to go to the main terminal." "Yes." Derek explodes. "I get it. I screwed up." But it's worse than screwing up. Derek realizes he didn't just insult a customer. He didn't just make a professional mistake. He exposed his deepest biases to the person who now controls his livelihood. Thomas Bradley enters carrying fuel reports. "Boss, we've got numbers from yesterday's operations. Revenue's up 12% from last month." Derek barely hears him. His mind races through 15 years of similar interactions. How many people has he dismissed? How many assumptions has he made? How many talented individuals has he driven away based on their appearance, their accent, their background? Victoria returns from her facility tour, Jennifer explaining safety protocols and maintenance schedules. Victoria asks intelligent questions, takes notes, treats every employee with respect. "Impressive operation," Victoria tells Jennifer. "How long have you been with the company?" 3 years, ma'am. Started as ground crew, worked my way up to supervisor. What changes would improve efficiency?" Jennifer glances nervously toward Derek, then back to Victoria. "Well, we could use updated equipment in Bay 3, and maybe more staff training on the new safety regulations." Victoria nods, making notes. "What about workplace culture? Any concerns there?" The question hangs heavy. Jennifer's eyes flick toward Derek again. She wants to speak honestly, but years of conditioning hold her back. "It's professional," Jennifer says carefully. Victoria doesn't push. Not yet. But Derek sees her making mental notes about the hesitation, the careful word choices, the way staff members defer to him even when speaking to their new owner. Maria Santos approaches with a tablet. "Ms. Hayes, I have Amanda Foster on the line. She says the legal team is ready for closing whenever you are. Victoria checks her watch. 22 minutes early. Good. Let's proceed. She turns to Derek. Mr. Morrison, I'll need your signature on the transition documents. Then we'll discuss your future with this organization. The words "your future" carry ominous weight. Derek knows his behavior this morning hasn't earned him any goodwill. His 15-year career hangs by a thread. Sarah Kim's live stream viewer count peaks at 75,000. The hashtag Victoria Hayes starts trending nationally alongside Derek Blocked. Local news stations monitor social media, preparing crews to respond. Aviation industry blogs pick up the story. Twitter explodes with reactions from other airport workers sharing their own stories of workplace bias and discrimination. Derek Morrison becomes the face of everything wrong with corporate culture. As legal documents print in the office, Victoria observes the facility's operations. She watches how staff interact with Derek, noting the tension, the careful deference, the walking on eggshells atmosphere. She's built her company on different principles. Respect earned through competence, not fear. Authority based on expertise, not intimidation. Success measured by team performance, not individual dominance. Looking around Derek's domain, Victoria sees 15 years of missed potential. Talented people held back by a manager who confused control with leadership. That ends today. Amanda Foster arrives with 2 lawyers and a notary public. Professional handshakes, document review, final signature preparation. The machinery of corporate acquisition moves with practiced efficiency. Derek signs his name to transfer documents. Each signature reducing his authority, his control, his identity as the man who decides who belongs here. 22 minutes later, Victoria Hayes officially owns Hangar 7, its equipment, its contracts, its staff, and Derek Morrison's professional future. The confrontation that began with "this area isn't for people like you" concludes with Victoria holding legal ownership of the entire facility. Justice doesn't always come with fanfare. Sometimes it comes with signatures and seals, and the quiet transfer of power from those who abuse it to those who'll use it wisely. Derek Morrison is about to learn that lesson the hard way. Sarah Kim's phone burns hot in her hands. 75,000 live viewers and climbing. Comments flow so fast she can't read them. Her followers have never seen anything like this unfold in real time. "Okay, everyone, quick update," Sarah whispers into her camera. "We just watched the manager who blocked this black businesswoman discover she's actually the new owner of the entire hangar. This is absolutely insane. The acquisition papers are signed. Official, legal. Victoria Hayes now owns the facility where Derek Morrison just committed career suicide. Super chat donations flood in. Viewers paying to highlight their comments, $50. This is the best karma I've ever seen, $25. Someone needs to check Derek's employment history, $100. Victoria Hayes is my new hero. Miguel Rodriguez approaches Sarah discreetly. "Excuse me, miss. You're recording this?" Sarah nods. "Live streaming. 78,000 viewers now." Miguel glances around, then leans closer. "There's more to this story. Derek's been doing this stuff for years. Different people, same treatment. We've all seen it." Sarah's journalist instincts fire. "Would you go on camera about it?" Miguel hesitates. "I could get fired." "By who?" Sarah asks. "Derek. He's not in charge anymore." The reality hits Miguel. Derek's authority evaporated the moment Victoria signed those papers. For the first time in 15 years, speaking truth won't cost him his job. "Yeah," Miguel says, straightening his shoulders. "Yeah, I'll talk." Sarah flips her camera. "Everyone. This is Miguel Rodriguez, maintenance supervisor here at the hangar. Miguel, tell us what you witnessed." Miguel looks directly into the camera. "Derek Morrison just told the new owner of this facility that she didn't belong here because of how she looked. But this isn't the first time. I've seen him do this to Hispanic workers, black contractors, anyone who didn't fit his idea of what an aviation professional should look like. The live stream explodes. Viewer count hits 100,000. Comments become a wall of fire emojis and justice demands. Inside the administrative office, Victoria reviews employment files on Derek's computer. Amanda Foster and the legal team handle final paperwork while Victoria investigates the organization she now owns. The patterns emerge quickly. Troubling, undeniable patterns. In the past 3 years, 8 employees have quit unexpectedly. 7 were minorities. All left within 6 months of filing informal complaints about workplace treatment. No formal investigations occurred. No follow-up documentation exists. Victoria digs deeper. Employee evaluations show clear disparities. Minority workers receive consistently lower ratings despite similar performance metrics. Promotion rates favor white males by significant margins. Pay scales reflect unexplained gaps. Derek created a culture of bias so ingrained it infected every personnel decision. Jennifer Walsh enters nervously. Ms. Hayes. There's a reporter outside asking questions, and someone from Channel 7 News just pulled up. Victoria isn't surprised. 75,000 people watched Derek's humiliation live. Traditional media follows viral content like sharks following blood. Let them know I'll make a statement when I'm ready, Victoria says. For now, we continue normal operations. She turns to Amanda. I want a full HR audit. Hire an external firm. Complete review of all personnel actions for the past 5 years. Pay particular attention to complaints, terminations, and promotion decisions. Amanda makes notes. Timeline 2 weeks. I want to understand exactly what we're dealing with here. Derek Morrison sits in his office like a condemned man awaiting execution. Phone calls flood in. His supervisor from corporate headquarters, HR representatives, legal advisors. Everyone wants explanations for the viral video showing their hangar manager publicly humiliating the new owner. He answers none of the calls. Thomas Bradley knocks tentatively. Boss Corporate's been trying to reach you. Derek looks up with hollow eyes. I'm not the boss anymore, Thomas. She is. He nods toward Victoria's direction. Thomas shifts uncomfortably. What do you think happens now? Derek's laugh is bitter. What do you think happens when you tell your new boss she doesn't belong in her own building? Outside, Sarah Kim's documentary continues. She interviews Jennifer Walsh, who speaks carefully but honestly about the workplace atmosphere under Derek's management. People were afraid to speak up. Jennifer explains to the camera. If you questioned Derek's decisions, you'd find yourself written up for minor infractions. If you filed complaints, they'd disappear into his desk drawer. Everyone learned to keep their heads down. Viewer count reaches 120,000. Derek blocked trends nationally. Victoria Hayes becomes the top hashtag in business and aviation categories. Maria Santos appears on stream next, sharing her perspective as the administrative assistant who recognized Victoria from Forbes magazine covers. I knew she looked familiar, Maria tells Sarah's audience. I've seen her in business publications, speaking at conferences, receiving awards. She's literally one of the most successful people in aviation. And Derek treated her like she was trespassing. The irony resonates with viewers. Comments pour in from aviation workers, business professionals, anyone who's faced discrimination in professional settings. Victoria emerges from the office and approaches Sarah's impromptu news station. Excuse me, Ms. Kim. I understand you've been documenting today's events. Sarah's heart races. The star of her viral stream wants to speak directly to her audience. Yes, ma'am. This story has captured national attention. Would you be willing to share your perspective? Victoria considers carefully. She's built her career on thoughtful communication, never speaking rashly or emotionally. But this moment demands clarity. Of course. Sarah flips the camera to face Victoria. The viewer count explodes past 150,000. Everyone, this is Victoria Hayes, CEO of Hayes Global Logistics and the new owner of this hangar facility. Ms. Hayes, can you share what happened here today? Victoria looks directly into the camera. Her voice is calm, measured, carrying the authority of someone accustomed to boardrooms and congressional hearings. This morning, I arrived for the scheduled closing of my acquisition of this facility. The manager, Mr. Morrison, blocked my entry and told me this area wasn't for people like me. When I tried to show him my credentials, he refused to look at them. He called security, claiming I was attempting to scam my way into restricted areas. The live chat explodes with outraged support and demands for justice. What he didn't know, Victoria continues, is that I've spent 15 years building one of the largest aerospace logistics companies in the country. I own 3 aircraft myself. I'm a licensed pilot. And as of 1 hour ago, I own the facility he was trying to bar me from entering. Sarah asks, "How did this make you feel?" Victoria pauses thoughtfully. Tired. Tired of talented people being dismissed because they don't fit someone's narrow expectations. This happens everywhere in every industry. People making assumptions based on appearance, accent, background. It limits potential. It wastes talent. It costs everyone. What happens to Mr. Morrison? That depends on our investigation into workplace culture here. Today's incident appears to be part of a larger pattern. We'll review everything and act accordingly. Sarah's stream breaks records. 200,000 concurrent viewers. Major news outlets monitor the feed, preparing their own coverage. Aviation industry publications scramble to contextualize the story. Derek Morrison's humiliation becomes a case study in real time. Officer Rivera returns having filed his incident report. He approaches Victoria respectfully. "Ma'am, I apologize for the earlier confusion. If I'd known you were the facility owner." Victoria stops him. "Officer Rivera, you handled the situation professionally. You asked for identification, reviewed credentials, and maintained order. That's exactly what good security looks like." She turns toward Derek's office. The problem wasn't security protocol. The problem was someone refusing to follow basic courtesy and procedure. Rivera nods, understanding the distinction. "Will you be pressing any formal complaints? That depends on our internal investigation. But I appreciate your professionalism today." As Rivera leaves, Miguel approaches Victoria. "Miss Hayes, could I speak with you privately?" Victoria recognizes the nervous tension of someone wrestling with difficult decisions. Of course. They step away from Sarah's live stream, finding relative quiet near the maintenance bay. "Ma'am, I've worked here 8 years. I've seen Derek treat people differently based on how they look. Hispanic workers get the worst assignments. Black contractors get extra scrutiny. Women get questioned about their technical knowledge." Miguel's voice grows stronger as he continues. 3 good mechanics quit in the past year. All minorities. All complained about hostile treatment. All ignored by management. Victoria listens intently, making mental notes. "I recorded some of Derek's comments on my phone," Miguel adds. "Not today's incident. That was public. But previous situations. If it helps your investigation, it would help tremendously. Would you be willing to speak with an external HR firm about your experiences?" Miguel nods firmly. "Yes, ma'am. It's time someone listened." Victoria realizes Miguel's courage represents a turning point. For years, employees stayed silent to protect their jobs. Now, with new ownership, they're finding their voices. Sarah Kim concludes her live stream after 4 hours of coverage. Final viewer count 230,000. Total views across all clips will exceed 2 million by tomorrow. "This has been the most incredible story I've ever covered," Sarah tells her audience. We witnessed workplace discrimination, viral justice, and corporate accountability in real time. This conversation about bias in professional settings needs to continue. She signs off as news vans surround the hangar. Derek's 15-minute walk from authority to unemployment has become a national story about power prejudice and the cost of assumptions. Inside his office, Derek Morrison stares at his phone. 57 missed calls. 112 text messages. His LinkedIn profile views have skyrocketed, but not for good reasons. His name is permanently associated with discrimination and humiliation. Tomorrow, Victoria Hayes begins rebuilding the culture Derek spent 15 years damaging. But today, the world witnessed what happens when bias meets consequence. Justice doesn't always wear a courtroom gown. Sometimes it wears a navy blazer and carries acquisition papers. Derek Morrison learned that lesson too late. The conference room falls silent as Victoria Hayes spreads acquisition documents across the polished table. Legal seals, corporate letterheads, bank routing numbers. The paperwork of power changing hands. Amanda Foster coordinates with lawyers while Derek Morrison sits frozen, watching his 15-year kingdom dissolve. Sarah Kim's live stream has reached 250,000 viewers. Comments flow like a digital waterfall, too fast to read, but clear in sentiment justice is coming. Victoria organizes papers with methodical precision. Mr. Morrison. Before we proceed with transition discussions, I need to understand the full scope of operations here. Derek's voice cracks. What do you want to know? Everything. Staff structure, client relationships, safety protocols, financial performance. Victoria's tone carries boardroom authority. But first, I want to hear from your team. She turns toward the gathered employees. Miguel Rodriguez stands straighter, no longer afraid. Jennifer Walsh clutches her safety clipboard like armor. Maria Santos takes notes recording this historic moment. Thomas Bradley hovers near Derek, loyalty wavering. Miguel Victoria addresses the maintenance supervisor directly. How long have you worked here? 8 years, ma'am. Started as apprentice mechanic, worked my way up to supervisor. What's your assessment of current operations? Miguel glances at Derek, then makes a decision that will define his career. Honestly, we're functioning below potential. Good equipment, skilled staff, but... He trails off. But what? But people are afraid to suggest improvements, afraid to question procedures, afraid to speak up when they see problems. Derek's face reddens. That's not true. I run an efficient operation. Do you? Victoria asks quietly. Miguel, can you give me specific examples? Miguel's courage builds with each word. Last month, Rosa Martinez in fuel operations suggested a new safety protocol she learned at training. Derek shot it down without reviewing it. Rosa quit 2 weeks later. Victoria makes notes. Why did she quit? Said she was tired of being treated like she didn't know her job. Rosa had 15 years' experience at Delta before coming here. Derek interrupts desperately. Rosa left for personal reasons, family issues. That's not what she told me, Jennifer Walsh says quietly. All eyes turn to her. She said she couldn't work in a place where her expertise was constantly questioned. Victoria nods, encouraging Jennifer to continue. Rosa wasn't the first, Jennifer adds, gathering momentum. In 3 years, I've watched 8 qualified people leave, all minorities, all after trying to contribute ideas or file complaints. Derek stands abruptly. This is ridiculous. You're making it sound like I discriminated against people. The room's temperature drops 10 degrees. Victoria's stare could freeze jet fuel. Aren't you? Victoria asks. No, I treated everyone equally. Miguel pulls out his phone. You want to hear how Derek treats people equally? He scrolls through recordings, finds one from 2 months ago, presses play. Derek's voice emerges clearly. Martinez, I don't need some refugee telling me how to run fuel operations. Stick to following orders instead of thinking you know better than people who built this place. The recording continues. Derek's voice growing nastier. These diversity hires think they can waltz in and change everything. I decide who's qualified here, not some quota sheet from corporate. Silence grips the room. Derek's face goes pale as his own words condemn him. Victoria's voice cuts like surgical steel. Mr. Morrison, do you stand by those comments That was taken out of context. What context makes those statements acceptable? Derek's mouth opens and closes soundlessly. No context exists. No explanation suffices. His bias stands exposed, recorded, undeniable. Sarah Kim's live stream chat explodes. He's finished racist, caught on tape justice, coming fire him now. Victoria continues her investigation. Jennifer, you mentioned 8 people left. Were any investigations conducted? Derek handled all complaints internally? Jennifer explains. People would file reports with HR, but nothing ever changed. Eventually, they'd get fed up and quit. Where are these HR reports? Derek's panic shows. I don't think we kept copies of informal complaints. Maria Santos speaks up. Actually, I maintain digital copies of all personnel files. She produces a tablet. Every complaint, every investigation, every resolution is documented here. Victoria reviews the files. Pattern after pattern emerges. Minority employees reporting hostile treatment, discriminatory comments, unequal standards. Each complaint marked resolved internally with Derek's signature. No follow-up actions, no policy changes, no accountability. Thomas Bradley fidgets nervously. As Derek's assistant manager, he enabled this culture through silence and compliance. Thomas Victoria addresses him directly. Were you aware of these complaints? Thomas looks between Derek and Victoria, calculating which loyalty serves him better. Derek's career is ending. Victoria's is beginning. Yes, ma'am, Thomas admits quietly. Derek said they were troublemakers, people who couldn't handle aviation industry standards. What standards require tolerating discrimination? Thomas has no answer. He realizes 15 years of following Derek's lead has made him complicit in creating a toxic workplace. Victoria's phone buzzes. Amanda Foster shows her a text message. Channel 7, Fox 5, and CNN requesting interviews. Aviation Weekly wants exclusive comment. Federal aviation authorities asking if investigation needed. The story has transcended local embarrassment. Derek Morrison represents every manager who's ever used their authority to diminish others. His humiliation resonates with millions who've faced workplace bias. Victoria addresses Derek directly. Mr. Morrison, I'm placing you on immediate administrative leave pending full investigation. You will not have access to this facility or its operations until our review concludes. Derek's last hope crumbles. You can't do this. I know this place better than anyone. These people need supervision. They need leadership, Victoria corrects. There's a difference. She turns to Miguel. You mentioned Rosa Martinez suggested new safety protocols. Do you have her contact information? Yes, ma'am. Call her. Offer her job back with full supervisor authority and 20% salary increase. I want to review her suggestions immediately. Miguel's face lights up. She's going to be thrilled. Victoria continues restructuring in real time. Jennifer, you're promoted to operations manager effective immediately. Thomas, you'll work directly with our external HR consultants to document every incident from the past 5 years. Thomas nods eagerly, recognizing the chance to distance himself from Derek's sinking ship. Maria, I want you to coordinate with Amanda on implementing new reporting procedures, anonymous complaint system, multiple escalation paths, monthly culture surveys. Maria beams with pride. For 3 years, she's watched talented people driven away by Derek's bias. Finally, someone values their contributions. Derek makes one final desperate play. Ms. Hayes, you don't understand aviation culture. This industry requires strong leadership, discipline, order. If you start coddling people, Victoria's interruption is swift and brutal. Mr. Morrison, I've led a Fortune 500 aerospace company for 15 years. My safety record exceeds industry standards. My employee satisfaction ratings rank top 5% nationally. My profit margins outperform competitors by 30%. Derek shrinks under her expertise. I understand aviation culture perfectly, Victoria continues. What you created here isn't culture. It's dysfunction masquerading as leadership. Sarah Kim's stream reaches 300,000 viewers. Major news outlets monitor her feed, preparing their own coverage. The hashtag Derek blocked trends in 12 countries. Victoria's phone rings. She glances at the caller ID Senator Patricia Williams, chair of the Senate Aviation Subcommittee. Excuse me, Victoria tells the group, stepping away to take the call. Victoria, I'm watching the news about Atlanta. Is this the kind of discrimination we discussed during the FAA oversight hearings? Yes, Senator. Exactly what we discussed. How can we help? Victoria considers carefully. Federal workplace culture audits for all major aviation facilities, anonymous reporting apps, mandatory bias training, and consequences for managers who create hostile environments. Consider it done. Your experience today just became the basis for new federal aviation workplace standards. Victoria ends the call and returns to the group. Derek realizes he's not just losing his job. He's becoming the face of industry-wide reform. Officer Rivera returns with his completed incident report. Ms. Hayes, given the circumstances, would you like to file formal discrimination complaints? Victoria weighs her options. Formal charges would destroy Derek completely. But she's more interested in prevention than punishment. Not at this time, officer. But I want this incident documented for potential future reference. Derek should feel grateful for Victoria's restraint. Instead, he makes his biggest mistake yet. This is all bullshit, Derek explodes, standing suddenly. 15 years. I've run this place. 15 years of perfect safety records. And you want to destroy everything because of some misunderstanding. The room freezes. Derek's true feelings pour out uncensored. I know what kind of people belong in aviation. I know what it takes to run a professional operation, and I know this place will fall apart without me. Miguel steps forward. Boss, you need to stop talking. But Derek's rage overwhelms his judgment. No, I'm tired of pretending this isn't about politics, about quotas, about hiring people who don't belong here. Sarah Kim's camera captures every word. 350,000 viewers witness Derek's complete meltdown. Victoria's voice remains eerily calm. Mr. Morrison, you're confirming every concern about your fitness to lead. I don't care. Someone needs to say it. Aviation isn't about feelings. It's about competence. And competence isn't equally distributed. The silence that follows is deafening. Derek has just provided irrefutable evidence of his bias, his unfitness for leadership, his toxic impact on workplace culture. Victoria stands slowly. Mr. Morrison, your employment is terminated immediately. Security will escort you to collect personal belongings. You are banned from this property permanently. Derek's face contorts with rage and desperation. 15 years of authority of being the decision-maker of controlling who belongs and who doesn't collapses around him. You'll regret this, Derek shouts. This place will crumble without me. You have no idea what you've done. Security arrives to escort Derek from the building he's dominated for 15 years. As he passes Sarah Kim's camera, Derek makes one final threat. This isn't over. People like me built this industry. People like you just inherited it. The irony is lost on Derek. Victoria built her company from nothing while he inherited his position through privilege and connections. As Derek is escorted out, employees gather around Victoria. The oppressive atmosphere that defined this workplace for 15 years lifts like fog in sunshine. Miguel grins widely. Ms. Hayes, that felt like liberation. Jennifer nods agreement. We can finally do our jobs without walking on eggshells. Maria pulls up Derek's personnel files. Should I start documenting everything for the investigation? Absolutely, Victoria confirms. But first, let's focus on moving forward positively. Sarah Kim concludes her live stream with 400,000 viewers. We just witnessed the most incredible reversal of workplace power I've ever seen. Derek Morrison went from authority figure to terminated employee in 4 hours. She addresses her audience directly. This story shows what happens when bias meets consequence, when assumptions collide with reality, when bullies finally face someone who won't be intimidated. Comments flood in from viewers sharing their own workplace discrimination stories, celebrating Derek's downfall, praising Victoria's leadership. The hangar that began the day under Derek's toxic control ends under Victoria's principled leadership. 8 employees who started their shift, afraid to speak honestly, end it feeling heard, valued, respected. Derek Morrison drives away in humiliation, his career destroyed by his own prejudice. Victoria Hayes begins the work of rebuilding culture, restoring dignity, and proving that excellence includes everyone willing to earn it. Justice doesn't always come with gavels and verdicts. Sometimes it comes with acquisition papers and the quiet transfer of power from those who abuse it to those who'll use it wisely. Derek Morrison learned that lesson 4 hours too late. The security escort leads Derek Morrison through his former kingdom like a perp walk. 15 years of accumulated authority dissolves with each step, past the fuel depot he dominated, past the maintenance bay where he intimidated workers, past the administrative office where he made careers and destroyed dreams. Sarah Kim's cameras capture his final moments of humiliation. 400,000 viewers watch Derek's career end in real time, his exit broadcast across social media platforms, news networks, and aviation industry forums. Victoria Hayes stands in the hangar's center surrounded by employees who've lived under Derek's oppression for years. The psychological weight of his toxic leadership lifts like storm clouds clearing. For the first time in a decade, they can speak freely without fearing retaliation. Listen, everyone, Victoria addresses the gathered staff. I know today has been traumatic. Change is always difficult, especially when it involves confronting workplace problems we've ignored too long. Miguel Rodriguez nods emphatically. Ma'am, what Derek did to you this morning, that was just Tuesday for him. We've all seen worse. Jennifer Walsh steps forward. Ms. Hayes, can I share something Derek made Carla Espinoza cry last month? Told her Mexican mechanics didn't understand American aircraft standards. Carla has 20 years' experience with American Airlines. Victoria's jaw tightens. Where is Carla now? Quit 3 weeks ago. Said she couldn't handle the stress anymore. Victoria turns to Maria Santos. Do you have Carla's contact information? Yes, ma'am. Call her immediately. Offer her position back with senior mechanic title, 30% salary increase, and formal apology from management. Maria's eyes widen. She's going to cry happy tears. Thomas Bradley approaches nervously. As Derek's former assistant manager, he's complicit in years of discriminatory practices. His career hangs by threads. Ms. Hayes, I need to apologize. I watched Derek treat people unfairly and never spoke up. I was scared of losing my job, but that's no excuse. Victoria studies Thomas carefully. Fear explains behavior, but doesn't excuse it. What would you do differently now? Everything? Thomas says firmly. I'd report discrimination immediately. I'd support employees who filed complaints. I'd stand up to bias instead of enabling it. That's exactly what I expect from leadership here, Victoria responds. You're on probation for 6 months. Use that time to prove you've learned from these mistakes. Thomas exhales relief. Victoria's offering redemption through action, not punishment through termination. Amanda Foster coordinates with the legal team, finalizing Victoria's ownership while managing media requests flooding in from across the country. CNN Fox Business, NPR Washington Post. Everyone wants interviews about the viral discrimination incident. Victoria Amanda says quietly, "We've got 14 interview requests and 3 documentary proposals. How do you want to handle this?" Victoria considers carefully. She built her career avoiding unnecessary publicity, preferring results over recognition. But Derek's behavior represents larger workplace problems requiring national attention. Schedule one major interview, 60 minutes or similar. I want to discuss industry-wide discrimination issues, not just this incident. The story is bigger than Derek Morrison. Outside news vans line the airport access road. Reporters interview passengers, aviation workers, anyone with opinions about the viral confrontation. Derek's humiliation becomes a national conversation about workplace bias, managerial accountability, and corporate culture. Dr. Patricia Rodriguez, workplace discrimination expert from Emory University, provides commentary for Channel 7 News. What we witnessed today represents decades of accumulated bias finally facing consequence. Victoria Hayes didn't just buy a hangar. She exposed management dysfunction that exists across multiple industries. Victoria's phone buzzes constantly. Text messages from industry colleagues, congratulations from business school classmates, interview requests from aviation publications. Her LinkedIn profile views explode from hundreds to hundreds of thousands. But the most important message comes from her 15-year-old daughter, Destiny, watching from their Atlanta home. "Mom, I saw the news. I'm so proud of how you handled that ignorant man. You showed him what real power looks like." Victoria smiles, remembering why she built her company in the first place, to create opportunities for the next generation to prove that excellence transcends bias to leave the world better than she found it. Miguel approaches with maintenance reports. "Ms. Hayes, I've been thinking about improvements we could make. With Derek gone, people might actually listen to suggestions now." "I'm listening right now," Victoria encourages. "We could implement predictive maintenance software, track aircraft service patterns, predict component failures, reduce downtime. I researched solutions, but Derek said it was too expensive and complicated." Victoria reviews Miguel's research. The proposals are sophisticated, well-researched, cost-effective. Derek's rejection reflected not business judgment, but resistance to change and unwillingness to credit minority employees' expertise. "Approved," Victoria says immediately. "What's the implementation timeline?" Miguel's face lights up. 2 months for full deployment. Potential savings of 40% on maintenance costs. Outstanding. I want you to lead the implementation team. For 15 years, Miguel's innovations were dismissed or ignored. In 15 minutes under new leadership, his expertise finally receives recognition. Jennifer Walsh joins the conversation, emboldened by Miguel's example. "Ms. Hayes, I've been developing cross-training protocols for ground crew. Multi-skilled teams could improve efficiency and safety margins." Victoria examines Jennifer's detailed plans. Another example of employee expertise suppressed under Derek's rigid hierarchy. Impressive work. "Let's pilot this program immediately." Rosa Martinez arrives within an hour of Victoria's call. She enters the hangar cautiously, unsure why her former employer wants to meet after she quit in frustration 3 weeks ago. Victoria greets her personally. "Rosa, I apologize for the treatment you experienced here. That ends today. I'd like to offer you a position as lead safety coordinator, overseeing all fuel operations protocols." Rosa's eyes fill with tears. "After what happened with Derek, I thought my aviation career was over. Derek's gone. Permanently. This is your workplace now, and your expertise is valued here." Rosa accepts immediately, bringing her 15 years of Delta Airlines experience to Victoria's team. Thomas Bradley coordinates with Amanda Foster, documenting Derek's discriminatory practices for the impending investigation. Files reveal patterns of bias spanning years. Minority employees consistently rated lower despite equal performance metrics. Promotion rates favor white males by 70 to 30 margins. Salary disparities, unexplained by experience or qualifications. Complaint: files mysteriously lost or marked resolved without investigation. Victoria reviews the documentation with growing anger. Derek's bias wasn't occasional prejudice. It was policy implemented deliberately and consistently. Amanda contact the Department of Labor, file formal complaints documenting workplace discrimination. This behavior violated federal employment law. Amanda nods. The documentation is overwhelming. Derek created a clear pattern of disparate treatment. Sarah Kim concludes her marathon live stream after 6 hours of coverage. Final viewer count reaches 1.2 million across all platforms. The hashtag Victoria Hayes trends globally, inspiring workplace discrimination survivors to share their stories. "This has been the most important story I've ever covered," Sarah tells her audience. "We witnessed real-time justice accountability and the power of standing up to bias." Victoria Hayes didn't just change one workplace, she started a national conversation. Comments flood in from viewers across the world. "Victoria Hayes is my hero. Derek got exactly what he deserved. This needs to happen in every workplace." Finally, someone with power who uses it responsibly. Aviation industry publications scramble to analyze the incident's broader implications. Trade magazines that previously celebrated strong managers like Derek now question whether authoritarian leadership models enable discrimination. Forbes publishes an emergency editorial. The Derek Morrison incident exposes aviation industry culture problems requiring immediate attention. Victoria Hayes represents the leadership transformation this sector desperately needs. Harvard Business Review requests case study rights, recognizing the incident as perfect illustration of bias in corporate management and consequences of discriminatory workplace culture. 3 hours after Derek's termination, his LinkedIn profile is flooded with negative comments. Former employees share stories of his discriminatory treatment. Industry colleagues distance themselves from his reputation. Potential employers conduct Google searches and find his humiliation broadcast across the internet. Derek Morrison becomes unemployable in aviation management. Meanwhile, Victoria's reputation soars. Industry executives praise her handling of the crisis. Client companies express confidence in her leadership. Aviation publications request feature interviews about her management philosophy. Her stock price rises 5% in after-hours trading as investors recognize the positive publicity and improved workplace culture will strengthen business performance. Victoria addresses her staff one final time before leaving for the day. "Tomorrow we begin rebuilding this workplace into something we can all be proud of. No more fear. No more walking on eggshells. No more wondering if your contributions matter. Your skills brought you here. Your character keeps you here. Your potential determines how far you go." That's true for everyone, regardless of background, appearance, or accent. The applause is spontaneous and heartfelt. Employees who started the day afraid to speak honestly end it feeling heard, valued, empowered. Miguel raises his hand. "Ms. Hayes, can I say something?" "Of course. For 8 years, I watched Derek make people feel small. Today, you made us all feel bigger. That's real leadership." Victoria smiles, thinking of her daughter Destiny, who will inherit a workplace culture improved by her mother's courage to confront bias when it mattered most. As Victoria leaves the hangar she now owns, employees wave goodbye with genuine enthusiasm. The toxic atmosphere Derek cultivated for 15 years has been replaced by hope, respect, and shared purpose. Derek Morrison's career ended where Victoria Hayes's transformation began, with the understanding that true authority comes not from putting others down, but from lifting them up. Justice doesn't always wear judicial robes. Sometimes it wears a navy blazer and carries the quiet confidence that dignity and excellence belong to everyone willing to earn them. Derek learned that lesson one confrontation too late. 2 weeks after Derek Morrison's termination, Victoria Hayes stands in the same hangar where he once blocked her path. The transformation is remarkable, not just in atmosphere, but in measurable performance metrics that prove culture change drives business results. Rosa Martinez leads her safety training session with 12 ground crew members. Her expertise, dismissed by Derek for 3 years, now saves the company thousands in potential liability while improving operational efficiency by 15%. Remember, Rosa tells her team safety protocols exist to protect everyone, aircraft crew, passengers, and our own families who want us home safely each night. Miguel Rodriguez demonstrates the new predictive maintenance software he championed, but Derek rejected. Aircraft downtime has dropped 23%. Client satisfaction scores reach all-time highs. Maintenance costs fall below industry averages. This software flags potential issues before they become problems. Miguel explains to visiting executives from Delta Airlines who've come to study Victoria's operational improvements. The visitors take notes enthusiastically. Word spreads quickly in aviation. Hayes Global's Hangar outperforms competitors across every metric that matters. Jennifer Walsh coordinates cross-training programs that create the most versatile ground crew in Atlanta. Workers who were previously siloed into rigid roles now understand multiple plans, improving both job satisfaction and operational flexibility. When people understand the whole operation, they make better decisions about their part of it, Jennifer tells Victoria during their weekly progress meeting. Victoria nods approvingly. Knowledge sharing builds stronger teams. Derek's compartmentalization was fear-based management, afraid people would realize they could do better. Amanda Foster reviews quarterly financial reports that exceed Victoria's most optimistic projections. Revenue increases 18%. Employee turnover drops to 0. Client retention reaches 100%, with 3 new long-term contracts signed. The numbers don't lie, Amanda tells Victoria. Respectful workplaces are profitable workplaces. But Victoria's proudest innovation is the AeroWatch platform, artificial intelligence software designed to detect and prevent workplace bias before it causes damage. Dr. James Washington, Chief Technology Officer for Hayes Global Logistics, leads the development team. The platform analyzes communication patterns, performance evaluations, promotion rates, salary distributions, and complaint frequencies to identify discriminatory practices. AeroWatch uses natural language processing to flag potentially biased language in employee communications. Dr. Washington explains to industry journalists visiting for a feature story. It tracks demographic disparities in workplace outcomes. It provides early warning alerts for toxic management behavior. The technology emerged from Victoria's recognition that Derek's discrimination wasn't unique. It was widespread across aviation and other male-dominated industries, where bias often goes unchallenged until crisis forces accountability. We're not trying to replace human judgment, Victoria clarifies during a CNN business interview. We're providing data to help organizations make more equitable decisions. AeroWatch's beta testing reveals disturbing patterns across pilot facilities. Minority mechanics receive 23% more negative performance reviews despite similar work quality. Women in aviation face questioning of technical expertise at twice the rate of male colleagues. Hispanic workers report feeling excluded from informal networking that drives promotions. Anonymous complaints reveal bias incidents occurring monthly at most major facilities. The data validates Victoria's experience while quantifying problems the industry has long ignored. Senator Patricia Williams, chair of the Senate Aviation Subcommittee, invites Victoria to testify about workplace discrimination in transportation industries. Ms. Hayes, Senator Williams asks during the hearing, how can federal oversight help address these cultural issues? Victoria's testimony is measured and specific. Require anonymous bias reporting at all facilities receiving federal aviation contracts. Mandate demographic tracking of promotions and terminations. Fund bias training for management personnel. And create consequences for organizations that demonstrate discriminatory patterns. Her recommendations become the basis for the Aviation Workplace Equity Act bipartisan legislation addressing bias in federally regulated transportation industries. Derek Morrison watches Victoria's congressional testimony from his apartment in Marietta, unemployed since his termination. His name has become synonymous with workplace bias. Google searches return videos of his humiliation articles about his discriminatory management and commentary about toxic leadership culture. 3 job interviews have ended abruptly when potential employers discover his viral notoriety. His 15-year aviation career is over-destroyed by 4 hours of exposed prejudice. He scrolls through social media comments about Victoria's success growing more bitter with each praise for her leadership. Derek can't accept that his own behavior caused his downfall. He blames political correctness and reverse discrimination for his unemployment. His wife left him last month, taking their daughter to live with relatives in Jacksonville. "I can't be married to someone who treats people the way you did," she explained. "I don't want our daughter learning those values." Derek's isolation is complete. Professionally blacklisted, personally abandoned, financially struggling psychologically, unable to accept responsibility for choices that destroyed his life. Meanwhile, Victoria's innovations spread across the industry. 12 major aviation facilities request AeroWatch implementation. The software becomes a requirement for companies seeking Hayes global logistics contracts. American Airlines partners with Victoria to develop bias detection protocols for their maintenance operations. Delta commits to implementing anonymous reporting apps at all facilities. Southwest Airlines hires Rosa Martinez as a consultant to improve their safety culture. Victoria's confrontation with Derek has catalyzed industry-wide examination of workplace discrimination that existed in shadows for decades. The National Association of Aviation Professionals invites Victoria as their keynote speaker for the annual convention. Her speech, titled "Excellence Includes Everyone," is viewed 2.3 million times online. We cannot achieve aviation excellence while excluding aviation talent. Victoria tells the audience, "When we judge people by their character and competence instead of their appearance and accent, everyone wins. Organizations, individuals, and the traveling public who depends on our professionalism." Standing ovation continues for 8 minutes. Forbes names Victoria Executive of the Year for demonstrating that principled leadership produces superior business results. Harvard Business School develops a case study examining her transformation of workplace culture and its impact on organizational performance. The Hayes model becomes required reading in business schools across the country, showing how addressing discrimination improves every measurable aspect of corporate performance. 6 months after Derek's termination, Victoria receives a letter from Destiny Williams, a 22-year-old African-American woman who recently graduated from Georgia Tech with an aerospace engineering degree. Ms. Hayes. Destiny writes, "I watched your video confronting workplace bias and decided to pursue aviation despite everyone telling me it wasn't for people like me. Your courage inspired my career choice. Thank you for proving that excellence belongs to everyone willing to earn it." Victoria frames the letter and places it on her office wall. Reminder that individual courage can inspire generational change. The hangar Derek dominated through fear now thrives through respect. Employees arrive enthusiastically instead of reluctantly. Innovation flourishes where conformity once reigned. Customer satisfaction reaches unprecedented levels because workers feel valued and empowered. Victoria's legacy extends beyond one facility to an entire industry forced to examine its values and practices. Derek Morrison's bias became the catalyst for equity reforms affecting hundreds of thousands of aviation workers. Sometimes justice comes through courtrooms and legal verdicts. Sometimes it comes through quarterly reports and congressional testimony. Sometimes it comes through young people choosing careers they previously thought impossible. Derek Morrison's prejudice created its own punishment: isolation, unemployment, irrelevance. Victoria Hayes's principles created their own reward: respect success, and the satisfaction of opening doors that others tried to keep closed. The transformation is complete. The workplace Derek poisoned through bias now flourishes through inclusion. The industry that tolerated discrimination now demands accountability. Justice doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it whispers through changed hearts, reformed policies, and young dreams finally given room to fly. 6 months later, Victoria Hayes stands in the exact spot where Derek Morrison first blocked her path. Morning sunlight streams through hangar windows, illuminating a workplace transformed by respect, inclusion, and the radical idea that everyone deserves dignity. The numbers tell one story: revenue up 38%, employee satisfaction scores at industry-leading levels, zero turnover among minority staff, 3 major aviation companies requesting to study Victoria's management model. But numbers can't capture the real change: the atmosphere of possibility that replaced Derek's culture of fear. Rosa Martinez trains her 5th group of safety coordinators this month. Major airlines send their personnel to learn from her expertise, the same expertise Derek dismissed as refugee advice just months ago. Her innovations have prevented 12 potential accidents across the southeastern aviation corridor. Safety doesn't see color, Rosa tells her trainees. Excellence doesn't have an accent. Competence doesn't come with a particular zip code. When we judge people by their performance instead of their appearance, everyone benefits. Miguel Rodriguez leads a team installing AeroWatch platforms at facilities across 3 states. His technological innovations, rejected by Derek for 8 years, now generate million-dollar consulting contracts and industry recognition. Aviation Week magazine features him on their cover as Innovator of the Year. Jennifer Walsh supervises cross-training programs that have become the gold standard for ground crew development. Her protocols reduce errors by 47% while improving worker satisfaction and retention. She's been invited to speak at international aviation safety conferences. The ripple effects extend far beyond Victoria's hangar. Derek Morrison's viral humiliation sparked congressional hearings, federal legislation, and industry-wide policy reforms. The Aviation Workplace Equity Act now requires bias reporting at all federally contracted facilities. 12 states have passed similar legislation for transportation industries. The Derek Morrison effect becomes shorthand for consequences of unchecked workplace discrimination. But for Victoria, the most meaningful change isn't institutional. It's personal. Destiny Williams, the young woman who wrote thanking Victoria for career inspiration, stands before her today in a crisp mechanic's uniform. 22 years old, Georgia Tech aerospace engineering degree, ready to begin her first day as junior maintenance coordinator, Miss Hayes. Destiny says nervously, "I'm still amazed you hired me. When I watched your confrontation with that manager, I decided to stop letting other people's biases define my possibilities." Victoria remembers her own first day in aviation. The doubt, the fear, the certainty that she didn't belong. Now she watches another young woman claim space in an industry that once seemed impossible. Destiny, your skills earned you this position. Your character will determine how far you go. That's true for everyone here, regardless of background. Victoria walks through the facility, observing operations that function with precision. Derek never achieved through intimidation. Workers collaborate freely, share ideas, enthusiastically solve problems collectively. Innovation flourishes where conformity once suffocated creativity. Thomas Bradley approaches with quarterly safety reports. His 6-month probation is ending his commitment to equity proven through consistent action rather than empty promises. Ms. Hayes, we've completed our bias training implementation. Every supervisor has been certified in inclusive management practices. Anonymous reporting shows 96% employee satisfaction with workplace culture. Victoria nods approvingly. Thomas chose redemption over resentment, growth over grievance. His transformation proves that people can change when given clear expectations and genuine opportunities. The afternoon brings unexpected visitors. Sarah Kim arrives with a camera crew producing a documentary about workplace transformation 6 months after her viral live stream. Victoria Sarah says, "Setting up equipment, your story has inspired thousands of people to speak up against bias in their own workplaces. Can you share what this experience has meant to you?" Victoria considers the question thoughtfully. This was never just about one hangar or one discriminatory manager. It was about proving that excellence includes everyone willing to work for it. That dignity isn't earned through appearance or accent. It's inherent in human worth. She pauses, looking around the bustling facility. 6 months ago, talented people were afraid to contribute their best ideas. Today, those same people lead innovation teams, train new employees, and set industry standards. The only thing that changed was removing barriers that never should have existed. Sarah's documentary, titled 12 Minutes That Changed Aviation, premieres on major streaming platforms and becomes required viewing in business schools nationwide. Victoria's calm dignity in facing Derek's bias provides a masterclass in principled leadership under pressure. Evening brings Victoria's favorite moment, walking through the facility as first shift ends and night crew begins. Workers wave goodbye with genuine warmth, no longer afraid of arbitrary retaliation or discriminatory treatment. Amanda Foster joins Victoria for their traditional end-of-day review. "Amazing news," Amanda reports. "Boeing wants to partner with us on diversity initiatives. United Airlines is implementing AeroWatch across their entire maintenance network. And MIT's Business School wants to create an endowed chair in inclusive leadership in your name." Victoria smiles, but her focus remains local. What matters most is that people feel safe being themselves here. When workers don't have to hide their talents or dim their excellence to fit someone else's narrow expectations, everyone wins. Her phone buzzes with a text from her daughter, "Mom, my classmates all know about your famous confrontation. They think you're a superhero. I just think you're my mom being herself, standing up for what's right." Victoria's eyes moisten. This fight was never about her own dignity. It was about creating a world where her daughter and every other young person could pursue their dreams without facing the barriers that once seemed insurmountable. As Victoria prepares to leave, she passes Derek Morrison's former office, now converted to a collaboration space where employees brainstorm innovations and solve challenges together. Derek's authoritarian photographs have been replaced with Team Achievement Awards and Diversity Recognition Certificates. Derek himself has disappeared from industry consciousness. His LinkedIn profile remains dormant. His name produces only negative search results. Attempts to find employment in aviation consistently fail as his reputation precedes him. Victoria occasionally wonders if Derek has learned from his humiliation, if losing everything forced self-reflection about the damage his bias inflicted on others. She hopes so, but primarily for his own healing rather than any vindication. The parking lot is nearly empty when Victoria reaches her car. She sits quietly for a moment, remembering the little girl who watched planes through chain-link fences, dreaming of flying, but never imagining she'd own the facilities where dreams take wing. Her phone rings. Dr. Patricia Rodriguez from Emory University, the workplace discrimination expert who provided commentary during the viral incident. "Victoria, I wanted you to know, applications to our aviation management program are up 200% this year. 80% of applicants are women or minorities who cite your example as inspiration." Victoria's heart swells. individual courage creates generational change. Standing up to one bigoted manager inspired thousands of young people to pursue careers they previously thought impossible. That's the real victory, Victoria tells Dr. Rodriguez. Not Derek losing his job, but young people gaining confidence to chase their dreams. Driving home through Atlanta traffic, Victoria passes the neighborhood where she grew up. The apartment building where she once lived still stands chain-link fence, still surrounding the small playground where she watched planes overhead. She makes an impulsive decision parking outside her childhood home. A young girl, maybe 10 years old, sits on the front steps reading a book. Hispanic serious expression totally absorbed in her studies despite the chaos of siblings playing nearby. Victoria approaches gently. "What are you reading?" The girl looks up shyly. "A book about airplanes. I want to be a pilot someday." Victoria's breath catches. "That's a wonderful dream. What's your name, Sophia Morales?" Victoria reaches into her purse, pulls out a business card. "Sophia, when you're ready for college, have your parents call this number. Hayes, Global Logistics has scholarship programs for students interested in aviation careers." Sophia's eyes widen as she reads the card. "Are you really a pilot?" "I am, and a business owner, and someone who believes dreams are meant to come true when you're willing to work for them." As Victoria drives away, she sees Sophia in her rearview mirror clutching the business card like a treasure map to her future. The circle completes itself. A little girl who once dreamed of flying now lifts others toward their own dreams. Derek Morrison's bias became the catalyst for industry transformation that will benefit countless people who never knew his name. Justice doesn't always announce itself with drama. Sometimes it whispers through changed policies, opened doors, and young dreams finally given space to soar. 6 months ago, Derek Morrison told Victoria Hayes that certain areas weren't for people like her. Today, those same spaces welcome everyone willing to earn their place through excellence rather than heritage. The hangar where bias once reigned now celebrates the radical truth Derek could never accept, that talent, character, and competence come in every color, accent, and background. And somewhere in Atlanta tonight, a 10-year-old girl named Sophia Morales goes to sleep clutching a business card, dreaming of the day she'll fly planes instead of just watching them pass overhead. Victoria Hayes made that dream possible by refusing to let someone else's prejudice define her possibilities. Her legacy isn't measured in dollars or awards, but in doors opened and barriers broken for everyone who comes after. Sometimes the most important battles are fought not with weapons, but with quiet dignity that refuses to accept discrimination as inevitable. Victoria's courage proved that standing up to bias doesn't require anger or vengeance, just the unwavering conviction that everyone deserves respect. Derek Morrison's career ended where countless others began. His humiliation became their inspiration. His downfall became their opportunity. That's how justice works in the real world. Not through perfect endings, but through imperfect people making brave choices that create better possibilities for those who follow. 6 months ago, Victoria Hayes walked into a hangar where she wasn't welcome. Today, she leaves a workplace where everyone belongs. The difference between those two moments is everything. For her employees, and for every young person who now believes their dreams are possible. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that standing up for what's right matters, then share it with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that like button if you believe everyone deserves dignity and respect in their workplace. Subscribe to this channel because we're committed to bringing you more stories of justice, courage, and the power of never giving up on your dreams. Your voice matters. Your story matters. And when we stand together against discrimination and bias, we build a world where everyone can soar. Until next time, keep fighting for what's right. Keep believing in your worth, and remember, sometimes the most powerful response to hatred is simply refusing to let it define your possibilities.